Hello there, welcome to the weekly quick tip. As you may remember, we are right in the smack dab middle of a three-part series on skills that employers want. Last week we talked about what those skills are, um, and why employers are looking for them. Today, we're going to be talking about how to develop those skills. And then next week, we'll wrap everything up when talking about how to convey those skills to an employer when you meet with them. So we'll start off with a quick refresher. What are the top 8 skills that employers are looking for? And as you can see, we have problem solving, communication, digital technology, career management, leadership, professionalism, collaboration, and intercultural fluency. And those are the top 8 skills that, as research has shown through surveys and assessments of employers nationwide, that they really expect their entry level recent graduates to have when they start job one. And the nice thing about these skills is that they aren't tied to any particular major. You can get them through any academic program, and you can get them outside of the program as well. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to walk through each of the 8 skills and talk about, here are a few different ways you can develop them so you can see that it's not as overwhelming as it may seem. So we'll start off with problem solving. And a lot of people think about problem solving as just fixing things, or just something you do without ever really thinking about it, right? But there are quite a few ways to develop and fine-tune your problem solving skills, and that includes analyzing the situation around you and looking at all of the possible outcomes and is there a compromise. So maybe you're addressing a concern about a grade you received. Do you have feedback and facts that could, help influence whether your professor boosts your grade up? Managing conflict in a group. If there's a bunch of people butting heads, how do you find a compromise that allows everyone to work together? And of course, if you're in any kind of customer service or customer-facing work position, as a lot of college students are, responding to a customer needs, or if they have questions about maybe where something is, or can they return this, why is this policy the way that it is, being able to respond to those questions and their needs in a very polite and professional manner, even when there's a million things going on, is a great example of problem solving. Then we also have communication. And remember, employers are looking for both written communication and verbal communication. So a great example of how every student develops the skill is, of course, class projects, having to do a research project and present what you've discovered to the class in a verbal presentation. Maybe you have to convey the information through a PowerPoint like this. Using those different presentations to build your communication style. By the same token, sharing your experiences at campus events. So maybe you complete an ACRE, you have to do an ACRE presentation at the end to share with others. Or if you are maybe involved in an internship or you're studying abroad, you may be asked to take part in the Experiential Learning Expo, or even take part in a social media takeover day where you can give a behind the scenes look. And again, that communication on social media has to be adapted so it's different than, say, a 20-minute presentation. And of course, having professional contact with your professors. So when you're emailing them, making sure you're saying, "Dear Professor Smith," and not, "Yo, what's up?" Okay. Not using abbreviations and slang in your emails or in your papers. If you're texting with your boss, if that's something that you're able to do, making sure that it's very polite and you're using please and thank you and, writing out the full words rather than shorthand. Then for digital technology, this pandemic, out of all of its negativity, one of the best things to come out of it is our ability to adapt digital technology. So being able to utilize social media effectively to connect with others and share experiences, um, trying new platforms that maybe you didn't use before, and being able to assess, this works for me in this way, this works for me in that way, this is not helpful for me. Being able to become familiar with using a Mac and a PC, the technology and the operating behind it is very different. So being able to navigate the different programs and, are there comparable programs between each that you would be able to switch back and forth without any issue? And of course, adapting to virtual learning, learning how to use things like Zoom, Teams, G Suite, all of those virtual collaboration tools, being able to do a presentation that's still really engaging, all of those things. And of course, your online learning platforms like Canvas, being able to work through technology for learning rather than for social connection is very different. Career management always kind of trips people up because it seems very vague. But career management is taking advantage of opportunities to learn about the professional world around you. So taking part in shadowing and informational interviews to connect with people who are already out in the world of work, writing your resume, even as a first-year student, it's never too early to start working on your resume and building on it throughout your time at Albright. And being involved in related clubs, activities, maybe you'll become a member of the accounting club, the eco organization if you're environmental studies, finding opportunities to get more involved in an area of interest to you may open up a lot of doors and allow you to get exposure to professional issues. For leadership, again, leadership looks different to a lot of different people. Many Albright students assume leadership is referring to, let's say, being an RA or being president of a club or organization or captain of an athletic team, but that's not the only type of leadership that there is. Maybe you are the one who automatically coordinates group projects and sets the deadlines and keeps everyone on task. Make sure everyone is delegated enough work to be equal. That's a form of leadership. Mentoring other people, maybe you're involved with the 13th Street Educational Partnership, or you volunteer with a local Little League or midget football team. That kind of mentoring is a form of leadership. And of course, depending on where you work, you may have the opportunity to train new workers. Here's how to find what you need on the cash register. Here's how to, get the most plates and bowls on a tray. Here's the quickest way to get from here to there across the store if you need to. Having those opportunities to train others and share your insight and guidance is, of course, a form of leadership. Professionalism, again, one of those words that college students think is scary, but it's really not. Being on time for class and having that time management to get your work done on time, if not early, that's a sign of professionalism. Having the work ethic and the ability to prioritize what you need to do in order to, keep up your academics while still being involved in other things like a job or a sport is professionalism. Having proactive communication with others. Maybe you're getting tutoring and you aren't feeling well. Being willing to put yourself out there and proactively say, hey, I'm not feeling well. Can we reschedule? I acknowledge that you're giving up your time. I'm letting you know now that, I won't be at our meeting today. So that, they aren't there waiting for you. So professionalism is little things like that. It's not necessarily, big things that have to wait until you're out in the real world. Then our last two, we have collaboration, which is teamwork. How do you work in a team? Where do you work in a team? All places, right? Whether that's, Again, a group project for class. Maybe you're working with peers that you don't usually get to work with, and learning about each other's strengths. Joe is really good at public speaking. We'll let him do the class presentation. Sarah is really great with digital technology, so we'll let her set up the PowerPoint, figuring out where everyone's strengths are and being able to assign tasks that best fit each other, and so that all the pieces come together in one really nice whole. Teams and campus organizations. A football team can't win because of one person alone. A campus organization can't do all of the events and all the fundraisers it needs to one person alone. It's a collaborative effort no matter what you do and what you're involved with. So being willing to work as a team to decide, these are the plays that will get us the win. This is, our structure and how we'll need volunteers to implement this event. So there's a lot of teamwork and collaboration in any of our campus clubs or sports. And looking into different volunteer projects. For example, you may do Habitat for Humanity or Alternative Spring Break. Again, maybe the 13th Street Educational Partnership, and you're volunteering in a classroom. That's collaboration. You have to be able to work with the students and the teacher in the classroom to make sure that all the needs are met. So collaboration can take a lot of different forms. And finally, intercultural fluency. A lot of students seem to assume that you have to go abroad to become interculturally fluent, and that's really not the case. You have to take a foreign language, so use that to not only build the foundation knowledge of that language, but also to get an insight on the culture of the language that you're studying. What are the holidays that they celebrate in Spain? What are different food customs that they may have in France? Looking at all of those different little things, where else is this language spoken? That's a form of intercultural fluency. Using your humanities and social science classes with your general education to get an understanding of the world around you. Sociology is understanding people. Maybe you take a class on Eastern religions for your humanities, so you get a better understanding of a culture that maybe isn't your own. And campus events, taking advantage of things like the International Student Association, their intercultural dinner, or going to performances by the dance team, different experience events with, representing music from other cultures. Those types of opportunities are really great ways to get intercultural fluency and a better understanding of the world around you. So that's a recap of our 8 skills and food for thought, different ways you can develop them. Don't forget to check in next week. We'll talk about, looking back at the ways you have developed these skills and how to phrase them in a way that will really catch the attention of an employer. So I will see you next week. In the meantime, as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to stop by and say hi, and I'd be happy to help you out. Take care.